Okay. What did he say?
We'll go ahead and get started so we can get out of here on time today. Thank all of you for being with us. It's a great day to be a Kiwanian. Children need Kiwanis. Kiwanis needs you. So thank you for your participation. If you'll please stand, silence your telephones. We'll appreciate that. Let's start with our defining statement. Kiwanis is a global organization of volunteers dedicated to improving the world, one child, one community at a time. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our prayer will be offered by Kiwanian. Okay, I was trying to see if you were coming or not. I handed it to somebody. Phil Kirk, Kiwanian Phil Kirk.
I can walk up there okay. I came in okay, but I ate so much I can't get up there. Let us pray. We come together this afternoon in person and by technology as members and guests of the Kiwanis Club. We thank our forefathers that we have the freedom to meet together in a church setting. This and other freedoms are not to be taken for granted. We also grieve the continued acts of gun violence, with the latest occurring midweek as football fans celebrated the Kansas City Chiefs' win in the Super Bowl. We also pray for peace in the Middle East and in other parts of the world. God, we know that you promise that when troubles of the world overtake our hearts, you will guide us back to your unending love. We all know the world is full of distractions that can lead us into trouble, yet we are promised the same fulfillment that we find in you. Nothing will ever satisfy our hearts and minds the way that God's continued grace does. Here in Raleigh, let us remain focused on improving our community one child at a time, because every child deserves a chance to be successful. And dear Lord, we thank you for our speaker today and the wonderful work that she is leading here in Wake County. And lastly, we thank you for this food and for every hand and every piece of machinery which touched it before it reached our mouths. In your gracious and holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. Our song, Clay, have you got a song for us?
Certainly do. In the book, it's on page 13, but I think you should know it. It starts off with, "Oh, say, can you see? Oh, say, can you see
By the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Feel like we ought to do play ball after that, okay? Thank you so much for doing that. We have a number of announcements today. Well, let me do guest first of all. Does anybody have a guest today? If anybody has a guest, let me see their hands. I didn't see anybody registered in as a guest. Well, thank you everybody that's here for being here. Membership welfare. I understand Tom Norris has not been well, so please keep him in your thoughts. Any other items for membership welfare? Does anybody have anything? Yes, sir.
Scott Pives's wife, Catherine, is not doing well. I just talked to Scott and he sounded terrible. She's been in the hospital almost 3 weeks.
Okay, great. Thank you for bringing us the information on that. Anybody else have anything for membership welfare? Let me make some announcements. Let me start with March is going to be diaper drive month. Be sure that you are collecting some diapers or buying some diapers or getting your checkbook ready for the month of March. Our diaper drive committee will be Dr. Andrew Perry, Frank Madden, and Randy Hartley will be the three people from our club that will be headed that up. So you'll hear from them as the weeks go by. Our board of directors met this past week. We talked about a number of things. We still have, we're trying to finalize the proposal for exactly what the dues are going to be and what we're going to do about the caterer. We've got a number of weeks to easy breathing because we've got next week, the week after that, and the weeks after that covered with people that are interested in catering for us. We had a great meal today. Let's give our friend Joni Collier a round of applause. Thank you, Joni. Joni is a personal chef. This is her second week. There are 3x5 cards on the table. Please put your comments about the meal down. We need to hear about about what you think of the meal, because it's going to be up to you to make, when we make a decision, we're going to hear it from the committee, and then the whole club is going to finalize that. Stacy, do you have a?
Yeah, so just real quick, as I've
Well,
said.
that's not Stacy, but thank you. Go ahead, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure there was no mistake out there.
We figured y'all could put 2 and 2 together. I mean, I'll keep my comments to that. Anyhow, yeah, so as you guys all know, I've been making, the announcement about the golf tournament that's coming up. Please come out and play. Please sponsor if you can. But also too, Robert Cooper, just thank you very much. We got Air Experts is going to be our title sponsor this year. So we want to thank them for doing that because that's a big help. So yeah, so that was kind of the main thing, but also just remember it's coming. So the first Thursday in May, which is May the 2nd.
Thank you. Stacy, you have an announcement.
Thank you. So the nominating committee will be meeting next Friday, and so it's that time of year. If you want to be involved in the board work, or you have a recommendation for an officer slate or someone to serve on the board, please send that nomination to me, or you can send it to anyone, Sandra Burkhart, L. Poole, L, I know you're here, raise your, yep, L, Lee Parker. Just let us know your nominations. Phil Kirk, you're on that committee as well. So let us know so we can put together a nice slate for next year. So on March 22nd, the Martin Middle School is having their career fair day. And so they are asking if there's anyone from Kiwanis that would like to have a table. There will be about 300 children coming through in an hour in increments of 150 at a time. If you would like to have a table at that career fair day, they asked if any Kiwanians would like to do that. So thank you, that's it.
Are there any other announcements? Let me recognize Chris White and thank him for representing the club at the funeral of our longtime member, Harold Garner, who died just recently. That was earlier this week, and thank you for being there on behalf of the club, Chris. We appreciate that very much. Are there any other announcements that need to be made? Well, if not, let me call on June Small, who is going to introduce our speaker today.
I am happy to introduce Gayle Headen. She's Executive Director of Wake County Smart Start, which is a nonprofit organization that serves children from birth to 5, along with their families. And I'm going to share just a few things I picked out of the resume that she sent. As Executive Director, she serves as a catalyst for community partners, funders, and government entities to collaborate, agree upon, and work toward common goals. I think that's very impressive to get those entities together to do those kinds of agreement sort of action plans. She brings a blend of corporate and nonprofit leadership experience with her, which is very interesting. She honed her financial management and analytical skills and established a visionary business strategy while spending nearly 10 years at Procter Gamble. Then she found her passion in early childhood education and entered the nonprofit career as only the third executive director in the 50-plus year history of Union Baptist Harvey Johnson Head Start in Baltimore, Maryland. Fortunately, she decided to relocate to Raleigh, and she became executive director of Wake County Smart Start in 2019, where she has done, number one, she's successfully advocated for a 30% pay increase for North Carolina pre-K teachers at private sites who were being paid less than their public school counterparts while having the same credentials. Two, she led an organizational restructure and increased staff by 50% to meet the demands that she saw in the organization. And three, she launched Wake 3 School, a new preschool program to serve low-income 3-year-olds, the first of its kind in Wake County. And I had to share this. She holds a BS in chemical engineering and is a UCLA Head Start Management Fellow and a National Black Child Development Institute Policy Fellow. I'm just sharing a couple fellows with you. Her resume is very exciting, and we are just glad to welcome you and have you. Thank you so much, Gayle.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. As June has introduced me, you know that I am Gayle Headen, Executive Director of Wake County Smart Start. And first, I'd like to thank the Kiwanis Club for having me here today. June for coordinating my time with you, and Sanford Bailey for his friendship. You might be wondering why Sanford asked me to come speak to you today. Well, I am here to talk about the importance of early childhood education. At breakfast just last week, and last week you might hear my voice is a little, well, last week I barely had one. At breakfast last week, Sanford said this is what he said, that early education is critical to children learning to read, because if you cannot read, you cannot do anything else in life. So I thank you for the opportunity to share with you early care and education, the rest of the story. I hope part of that title is somewhat familiar to you. Many of you may remember that the rest of the story was a Monday through Friday radio program hosted by Paul Harvey. I see some heads nodding. Then in 1976, the rest of the story consisted of stories presented as little-known forgotten facts. But what is most popular is how Paul Harvey would always conclude his broadcast with, "And now you know the rest of the story." On my father's 1970 Chevy radio, and my father called it a Chevrolet, Paul Harvey would be a weekly staple as Daddy listened to him, and I, as his passenger, was a captive listener. To my young ears, I didn't understand the adult topics and was quite disinterested, but I definitely recalled his most famous saying, perhaps because I knew it signaled I was soon to be freed of my boredom. When preparing for today's presentation, I struggled with where to start, with what Wake County Smart Start is, with who I am and how I ended up living in Wake County, the child care crisis. The choices were many. I decided to start with the oldest part of the story and go from there, and I hope you agree with my choice. Well, I'm in my 50s, as you may have concluded from my recollection of Paul Harvey on my father's car radio. The statewide Smart Start network is 30, and our local partnership, Wake County Smart Start, is 27. So that means I'm going to start with me. I am a native Baltimorean. I was educated in Baltimore City Public Schools. And you're like, why does she have to read that? Because I know this, right? I grew up in Baltimore City Public Schools and received my spiritual guidance at Union Baptist Church. Surrounded by committed parents and a supportive older brother, growing up in my family and in my church, I developed a call to community service and learned the value of education. My mother was a mathematics teacher for her entire career, and the demand for excellence and leadership. You know, I graduated from Howard with my degree in chemical engineering and then went to work at Procter Gamble. I'm going to go into a bit more detail about the career piece there. So during my near 10-year career at P&G, I did find my passion. I was volunteering all things children, you name it, Cub Scouts, Junior Achievement, mentoring and tutoring. I led the mentoring and tutoring group at Procter Gamble. And I even participated on Saturdays at another local church doing sciences for everyone. I'm a Black woman in science, and so we wanted young children to see that for you, that is possible as well. So essentially, you could count on me to say yes and be present if children were in the audience. So finding purpose and profound satisfaction in my volunteer work, I began to contemplate a career transition in community service and education. Get this, y'all. The conversation with my husband, Sean, when I broached the subject of this life change is emblazoned in my mind. I remember it, he remembers it. When I told him what I wanted to do, I told him that if we were to live like Christ, we are to serve, suffer, and sacrifice. And he understood the serving and the sacrificing, but why we have to suffer? By the end of that singular conversation, Sean said without hesitation, yes. And that started the next career chapter in my life. Looking back at that time, he and I both now laugh. He says he married a sugar mama, and then I persuaded him to support me in taking a vow of personal poverty by going to work in Head Start. Well, it was at Head Start that I learned that parents are the child's first, most important, and lifelong teacher. Many of you have adult children, you know, you're still imparting wisdom and knowledge to them. You also know that children are dependents. You know this because when you filed your taxes annually, right, they asked who are your dependents, and you said your children. And those dependent children exist in primarily two contexts, the home and the school. So if we want to be effective in supporting the success of a child, then we must include supporting the family and the environments that children are in when they're not with their families. Well, you know the old saying, what goes around comes around. So after 15 years at Head Start and having lived in Baltimore my entire life, except for when I went off to college, Sean said he got a job in North Carolina and wanted to move. It was now my turn to say, without hesitation, yes. So my husband and I have now lived in Wake County for almost 6 years, and I'm very happy. He made a good choice. My relocation here without a job led me to learn about Smart Start, the pioneering, comprehensive early childhood system in North Carolina. And the story I'm about to tell you, some of you in this room can tell it better than I can, and some others of you were active participants in this story. I'm going to ask a question. How many of you remember the early conversations about Smart Start? Raise your hand. Yeah, see, I figured as much. Now I'm going to ask, who among you were personally involved with Governor Hunt at that time? Yeah, I expected to see some hands. So that's Phil and the president. Right, okay. So, and correct me if I'm wrong here, right, because you were there. Governor Hunt was a visionary, and he was looking forward and believed that a major key to a thriving state was a good public education. In particular, establishing a plan for, and I'm quoting here, ensuring the future prosperity and well-being of our children and the continuing soundness of our state's economy. In April of 1984, he issued this clarion call, and in a letter to the people of North Carolina, Governor Hunt wrote, again I quote, and this is an excerpt from the letter, "A state can postpone some public needs for a time without dire consequences, but not education. If we fail there, our failures will never be repaired. For in education, we touch lives, all whose decisions influence the quality of our schools. Parents, teachers, businessmen and women, administrators, board members, legislators, and other citizens are touching lives. We are leaving a legacy. We are affecting eternity. Let us do it well." So listening to Governor Hunt makes me wonder if he was a fellow Kiwanian. I hear many of the ways that the club defines philanthropy sprinkled throughout Governor Hunt's remarks. What he was also saying is that the investment in a child's education has not a singular effect on the child only, but on us all collectively. Governor Hunt saw the correlation between a child's education and a flourishing state economy. And at the beginning of his second term as governor in 1993, he expanded the orbit of investments in education to include the child's earliest years. Governor Hunt's vision for Smart Start, to have every North Carolina child start school on day one, healthy and ready to learn. The goal to help improve the quality of learning for children and provide parenting and health education for their families. Governor Hunt got it. He too understood that children are dependent on their context, their environment, and to achieve any success for them must include parents. So in 1993, Smart Start was established as a public-private partnership to support North Carolina's nonprofits that help prepare preschoolers to enter school healthy and ready for success in all 100 counties. In a speech in 2016, Governor Hunt reflected, "North Carolina faced big challenges to make education the best it could be for all children in the state. But the state can't rest now because we have to figure out how to reach more children living in poverty, help young immigrants gain the education they need to participate in their communities and the workforce, and aid young families of mothers and fathers who may not know what to do. There is no book on how to raise a child." He was reminding us at that time that the work continues. Last year, I had the incredible honor to have a brief telephone conversation with Governor Hunt, and so please indulge me as I share with you that incredible experience. It was at the end of the day, Friday, just before 5 p.m., so you know I'm getting ready to shut down, and a call was transferred from the receptionist desk to my line. I answered it as I typically do. Gayle Headen speaking, Sanford might affirm that. The line was silent. Now, mind you, it's 5 p.m. Friday, line is silent. I'm about to hang up. So I was about to end the call when, in a deep, commanding voice, I heard, "This is Governor Jim Hunt." What? I immediately began fangirling. Here was this legend of a man calling to speak to me. He was calling to respond to the invitation that Wake County Smart Start extended to him to make a brief appearance at our 25th anniversary gala. He called to give his regrets, tell us how proud he was of us and our work, and asked if his daughter Rachel could be he and his wife's representative instead. And I was looking for my handwritten notes, like when he was talking, and I can't find them. When I get home today, I'm tearing my house upside down because I was taking notes. Oh my gosh, it was just such an incredible experience. His final words on the call were to tell me that of all the work he and his wife gave leadership to, and if you know how Governor Hunt speaks, you know that's what he said, he gave leadership to, Smart Start was their most important. Wow. What was in actuality a 7-minute call felt like an eternity. I was telling people I was on the phone with him for 30 minutes, and when I looked, it was 7. And it was definitely an experience of the lifetime. Well, I told you I was going to go in chronological order, descending from the oldest to the youngest. We talked about me, the establishment of the Smart Start Network. So that brings me to Wake County Smart Start. First, what is the need? All children are already born ready to learn, but many don't have access to the experiences and resources that they need to thrive. When children start behind, they stay behind, and we can do better by investing in early learning. About a third of all 4-year-olds in Wake County are living in poverty. That is stunning. We are a county of incredible prosperity. Currently, the state only allocates $160 million for all 100 counties in North Carolina for early childhood education programming. Our early childhood system is critically underfunded, leaving children, and remember they're in the context of their families, and their families behind. So in this need, we find our why. We dream big. We want to create an early childhood educational system where everyone, children, parents, and educators thrive. And we know that investing in early childhood and reaching children in their earliest years sets them and our society up for a lifetime of better outcomes, including lifting children out of poverty, creating a pipeline for a well-trained workforce, reducing future societal costs, and ultimately making our county a desired destination for both working families and growing businesses. So I'll share with you at this point a story of one of our parents whose sons were enrolled in our NC Pre-K program. She had 3 who participated in our free program. When Kirsten discovered NC Pre-K, she was a single mom, and she was trying to make ends meet with the majority of her paycheck going to childcare. For many families with young children, they can pay up to as much as 25% of their income in childcare, and that's for one child. And you add up, and you have more children. Now you wonder why people are having only one children or none at all and lots of dogs. Well, it's expensive to have a child. So Kirsten was thrilled to find a free early education program that taught her boys skills in early math, phonics, and socialization, critical skills they would need to start kindergarten. So this is what Kirsten says about that experience. The NC, and I'm quoting her here, the NC Pre-K program, which is public and free of charge, has been a great stepping stone for my sons. It also opened up doors for me to open my own business, get the correlation there, childcare, and now able to open a business. I know from the hours from 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m., my children are safe and they are learning. You actually see your child grow. They will teach you some things you didn't know, so you'll actually grow together. And it's a really great program to get them started for the next level of school. So as we approach this work, it is a big task and one that Wake County Smart Start cannot do alone. And that's why partnerships are so important. Partnerships are truly at the heart of everything that we do. And great challenges are facing our county. We have a record shortage of accessible, affordable, high-quality childcare. You have heard stories, as have I, of parents driving to the child care center, and when they get there, there's a sign on the door, "We're closed for the day, take your child back home." Then what are you to do? There's a lack of support for families with children under 5, and yet in this moment, I remain full of hope. None of us alone can tackle these challenges, but together, parents, educators, teachers, elected officials, community service clubs, and corporate professionals, when we come together, we are a powerful force for children and families. So I'm gonna, at this moment, share with you a video of Wake County Smart Start so that you have a clear picture of what it is that we do and what the work that we do means to families and to the community. So Hugh, wish me luck here. I'm gonna expand it and then hit play. There we go. Can you see it? Yeah, all right.
Hey parents, listen up. Your kids want to tell you something. We know you want the best for us to be successful in school and life ahead. We want that too. Well, that and ice cream. And for us to be successful, we need to have a strong family, healthy bodies, and do fun things that also help us learn. I mean, the world's a tough place. We gotta be ready for what's ahead. And Wake County Smart Start can help.
Well, it really started with Governor Hunt's vision for what was possible for young children.
The driving force that Jim Hunt had behind Smart Start, which has become a national model, was that the first 5 years of a child's life are crucial in their development, and you can't ever catch up.
The science had become overwhelming. Early childhood education made so much of the difference in the ultimate success of a child.
Back then in the 90s, there was only one quality child care center for infants in Wake County, and the waiting list was at least a year. I knew people who were on that waiting list that weren't even pregnant yet. So there was a real shortage of quality child care.
And so we pulled together a real variety of groups and people from all walks of the community, from faith community, from government, from education, from business. And we just came together and started having conversations about what was possible.
I remember well working with Governor Jim Hunt as I was a senator in the state legislature to get Smart Start passed.
We had a dedicated group of people, and we learned from mistakes, and every mistake we made was just a springboard to doing something better. And we just had such drive to be the best. And as we were doing this work and you meet people in the community, you realize this work has had and continues to have an impact across our entire community.
Empecé a pensar sobre la educación de mis hijos desde que noté que a mi hijo mayor no tenía las mismas habilidades que otros niños a su misma edad. No porque era joven, sino porque yo me sentía sola, estar aquí en este país como mamá primeriza.
I think NC Pre-K gives them that start of letting them know that you can do anything that you want to do in life. You can be successful in life. Being a single parent is, you know, you have other responsibilities throughout the household, and NC Pre-K program allows me to give my child that free education that I want them to have.
As a mother, it's not easy to trust anybody, but to be honest, when I dropped my son here in preschool, 100% of trust to these people.
They are my kids all the way up until they leave, and then after they leave, they're still my kids because I still think of them as my kids.
For my daughter, she's actually autistic, so this is one thing that we do to help her get her vocabulary a lot more advanced. And with these books and these programs, it's definitely accelerated it a lot faster.
Con estos programas que existen, yo me siento bien, de alguna manera apoyada. Ay, yo voy a poner a llorar.
When it first started, everybody was trying to do good work for children, things that made a difference. But as our work morphed over time, it became shared goals and shared outcomes.
Collaborations and partnerships is the organizational framework of all that Wake County Smart Start does. No one of us can do it alone. There's an old African proverb that says, if you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
The thing is that the journey's, it's not over. It has really just begun.
It's important for us to celebrate, but Smart Start is just getting started. As the times change, we have to be ready to adapt to that. And there's no question that Wake County Smart Start is going to help us get there.
The beauty of the story and our experiences that when you come together with a common vision and hope, the future is very bright.
Here we are 25 years later because children matter. Children matter. All right, thank you. Thank you for your attention to that. I was over 5.5 minutes with adult learning. That's too long, I know that. But I am coming to the close of my remarks here this afternoon. So now that you have a better idea of Wake County Smart Start is and how what we do supports our collective interest of a thriving state, I hope you see how the goals of Kiwanis and Wake County Smart Start are aligned. In your, it was your defining statement today, improving the world one child and one community at a time. So I'm drawing the parallels here. Your vision, Kiwanis' vision, and Wake County Smart Start's vision, and how you define philanthropy, and I'm just selecting a few here. Researching effective strategies and partnerships are at the heart of everything that we do. Making a difference both today and tomorrow. Remember, Smart Start is forward-thinking, future-focused, perpetuating a culture of kindness and hope, and knowing that the kid you help today is the successful kid of tomorrow. So in conclusion, I leave you with this simple call to action. I cannot take my seat without leaving you the call to action to help move forward our shared mission of improving our community one child at a time. So last year, the North Carolina Chamber Foundation conducted a survey of North Carolinians across the state, ranging in age from young parents to grandparents, and found that 79% of North Carolinians, 79% of this spectrum, clearly see a link between childcare and the economy. And get this, almost 90%, 87% from conservative Republican to Democrat, so across the political spectrum, want to see the state act, say And they also say that improving the quality of childcare and making it more affordable for families is a good investment of taxpayers' money. I don't know anything that in this country today you can find almost 9 out of 10 people agreeing on. So this is incredible. So this is something we can all get behind, public investment in early care and education. So I leave you with the call to action. Help us advocate for increased public investment for childcare. Please support your fellow Kiwanian there, Representative Ball. She is a staunch champion for young children. She is an incredible supporter of Wake County Smart Start, but we can't do it alone. Become informed about the child care crisis across our county and the entire country. Speak out, write to your elected officials, and value the providers and educators in the early education field. I told you I had to take a vow of poverty when I went to Head Start. But when we talk about the work that we do, you see we are contributing to the most critical years of a child's development. The first 5 years is when the most rapid period of brain development is occurring. So we need to value those people who are nurturing that, who are helping that form and develop. And we need everyone's help to be the megaphone on this critical issue. In the words of JFK, and y'all got me by now, I quote Governor Hunt a lot, right? So of course I got to quote. Excuse me. If not us, who? If not now, when? Also, you can donate and help families with young children access the programs and services they need to thrive. You can go to www.wakecountysmartstart.org. That's so easy. www.wakecountysmartstart.org. Again, thank you for inviting me back. I was here with you in August as a guest, and I would love to continue the conversation about early care and education in Wake County and how together we can write the rest of the story. I'm so sorry. I didn't have that at the bottom of my notes. Any questions? Yes, questions.
2, please. One of them is, what are the numbers on the unserved kids in Wake County? And the second question, this is going across the border, is what's your take on what's going on in Durham County right now?
Okay, I'm going to take the second one first. I am familiar at a helicopter view of what's happening in Durham County, so I would not consider it appropriate for me to comment on that. But in terms of numbers of unserved children, that's a great question. I'm glad you asked that. So in Wake County, we have about 69,000 children birth to 5. So that's the total population of young children. When we look at our 4-year-olds in particular, and we're looking at those who live in poverty, Wake County has made incredible strides. By 2020, we were able to achieve our milestone of serving 85% of all income eligible 4-year-olds in Wake County across all of the settings where they can be served. So that's child care subsidy, NC pre-K, Head Start, Wake County Public Schools Title I, and you may know, what's Title I? But anyway, that's one of the settings that children are in. And we are serving, we're serving more than 85% of those children. And once we hit that milestone, our county commissioners asked that question, so Gayle, what's next? So that's why we turned our attention to 3-year-olds. In Wake County, there's still about 4,000 income eligible 3-year-olds. And we are reaching 200 plus, so about 400, so about 10%. We're reaching about 10% of those income eligible 3-year-olds. And to give you an idea of the demand for these services, When we began conversations with the Wake County Commissioners on this, it was an idea. Within a month, the county commissioners were on board and making an announcement that they would fund a pilot program. And so the pilot program was for 2 years to serve 100 children in each year. Because there's only 100 seats, we did no promotion of the program. With no promotion of the program, we received 986 applications for those 100 seats. So we went back to the county commissioners. We said, look at this. So in this year, they have doubled their investment, because this is all on Wake County. And we are now serving 200 children, 202, because we received a grant from a local bank, and so we're able to serve a couple of more children. And this year, we are already, just in the month of January, because we're tracking every month, we are already ahead in January of the applications we received for Wake 3 School in the year before we started the program. We were collecting applications. Then last year, as we were serving children. So we are serving, like I said, for 3-year-olds, we are reaching about 10% of them. So we are really missing the mark on that. I see my, okay, okay. Yeah.
Oh, here you go. Oh, you got it.
Gayle, could you tell us the percentage and the amount of the budget that is provided by Wake County and the rest by the state?
Thank you for that question, Sanford. So our annual budget, Wake County Smart Start's annual budget, is just under $32 million. Of that $32 million, it breaks down in the following ways. 34% of our funding comes from the Smart Start network, of which we are a part of. Another 36% comes from the state for NC Pre-K. But NC Pre-K is a very expensive program, so we have to use blended funding to be able to serve all 1,532 children. And so there's another 16% of our budget that comes to us from the county. And so that supplements NC Pre-K. It paid for the increase in teacher pay, and it pays for Wake 3 schools. So that leaves 2% of our budget that comes in from grants and private donations.
We appreciate you being with us today. Kiwanis gives a book to the local library in your honor, so if you'll please sign the fly page in there when you get back to your seat, we appreciate it.
Thank you. That's so special. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for being with us today. I was told I forgot a couple of announcements. We need volunteers for the soup kitchen this Friday, the 23rd, not today, next week from today, from 4:30 to 6. We need 2 to 4 volunteers. Do I have volunteers out here for it? There's Robert. There you are. There you are. Cricket, you got all these names? Okay, fantastic. Salvation Army, yes. All righty. 9 people were on our Zoom call today, and we appreciate that. I forgot to give you the birthdays that we had. January the 19th, Dick Hoggart, happy birthday. January the 19th, Jake Plotkin, and January the 22nd, Fallon Hanley. We appreciate all of you. And next week, Dr. Mike Yoder, who is head of 4-H in North Carolina, is doing a lot of good out in the community, and especially in the rural areas, getting kids involved so they can be successful. I would never have stood in front of a group and speak if it had not been for 4-H. So I love it. It's part of my life. Thank you all for being with us today. Have a good day. Be safe. Take care. We're adjourned.